Hi. Hi, people. I'm just checking my mic here. I want to make sure that we're on the right input here. And I want to make sure that people can hear me okay. Input. I think it looks fine. I'm going to turn it up a little bit because it seems like it's pretty soft. Can you say something?
Yo. Hello.
Okay, that's good, right?
hmm
Okay, I'm going to keep that up. Hey everyone! Welcome to Starseed Mission Support. We're really excited to be back. We weren't here last weekend because we were running our beautiful Pleiades Gateway. That was absolutely incredible and it was so beautiful. And I am definitely still recovering from the weekend. It was a big weekend for us. And so I've.
Wait. It's Anahata. She's in the chat. Stop the production. Ladies and gentlemen, Anahata is in the chat. Our favorite 10-year-old on the planet. I'm sorry if I have any cousins that are 10 years old, but Anahata is it, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi,
I
Anahata.
love you so much.
Yeah, so we got a special treat. I enlisted some help from my beloved Shane today, so I was feeling a little tired, and I thought we don't really do Q&A very often. And so I thought we'd just hang out and answer some questions. People are saying that they're like, "Oh, so that's what he looks like."
Hey.
um yeah, so we're gonna do Q&A today. We don't do that very often. We're really excited for all of y'all fantastic questions. Um, Lots of updates and craziness happening in the world. I'm just recuperating and reassessing and reintegrating everything since the gateway that always brings in so many timeline shifts and integrations for myself as well. Um, it was an amazing weekend. People had an amazing time. We held space for over 400 people through the gateway, and we got incredible feedback, and many miracles occurred. And so, just recuperating. And so, yeah, hit us with your questions. How's your week going? Let's just get this started. So, the first question we have is from DN, and he says, when will they stop pushing us with the jab? I am so over this. Great question. I actually really was hoping that somebody would ask a question about, the pandemic so we can talk a little bit about the timeline. So basically there's a timeline war going on right now. And everything, like what they want is for you to take your attention away from your ascension.
Mhm.
They want you to pay attention to what's going on with that stuff.
Yep.
Not saying you should just ignore it, right? Be aware that it's happening, but also pay attention to how you're feeling about it because your emotions and your energy is really how you're voting in the timeline and the energy in the creation. And so, what are you doing with your time? Do you have sovereignty over your time? This is something that is coming up so much. Sovereignty is having control and dictation over how you spend your time and your energy. How much of your energy belongs to you, right? If all of your energy belonged to you, then you would be living a life where every single now moment you're doing something that you love and you're fully invested in. And so, paying attention to how you're spending your time and what you're paying attention to and what you're giving your energy to is so important because they're just trying to get your attention. They're trying to get you to feel afraid of these different kinds of things. Um, and yeah, so the greatest question is actually, how aware and how much of your time are you applying to creating in your own time stream?
hmm Um. Yeah. I totally agree. I definitely wanted to add in there that I think I saw a poll that was just taken by the Toronto Sun. And it was something insane like 95 or 97% of the people that took the poll do not agree with the passports. Yeah, because in Canada, I'm not exactly sure how it is state by state, but in Canada, in Ontario, the province where, I guess over a third of the population is in Canada. You have to take a vaccine passport to go to a restaurant or go to the gym or like basically anything other than a grocery store. And so even though people are, the numbers are 80% of people have gotten the jab, they still aren't down for the passports, right? And so like it comes a point where they cross the line. And when um what's the word? It's when governments abuse their power and they cross the line, the population will always keep them in check. And this is consistent across like every single like massive change in the world. Like I was just doing a little bit of research on Rome, and and every time the Roman Senate got out of whack, like the population just rose up and demanded their rights. And so like it just happened every single time where when they overstep, we are actually in power, and it's actually an illusion that we don't have the power. It just takes a galvanizing event or a galvanizing sequence of events, and I think that that's happening. More and more and more people are saying, what is actually going on here?
Hee hee. All right, let's see here. Um, Lena says, "Do you guys do counseling for Starseeds? I'm having a hard time alone." What?
uh, well, we were just talking about that.
Oh. Yeah, so at this time, I'm not taking on any new clients because I'm working on recording for ISA, and also I'm kind of restructuring the way that I'm doing sessions in the upcoming year. When ISA opens, there have been people that were trained in the previous container, that the Galactic Shamanism mentorship that had taken place in all of 2021. So we are going to have, Earth Star trained facilitators that are going to be offering sessions in the Earth Star Academy starting in February. Um, I'm not really sure what Shane is up to these days. Are you taking on clients or not?
Um,
We're kind of going through a little bit of a timeline shift where like so many new things are coming in and new projects, and we really want to have all of our time and energy to
mhm.
focus on those things and build a strong foundation.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, here's an example I'll give. Every for great example. Google started with search, right? They killed it at search. Now what do? Ba- Basically everything. They're looking at autonomous cars, smart cities. Everyone uses the G Suite, Gmail, Google Docs. But they started with search, right? So you gotta really drill into like your niche and what you do really really well, and then from there you can do a whole lot of things. We're really not in a rush to do too many things right now because we see the long term plays that we want to do, and we know that we need to get resources, we need to acquire resources for those, and organize those resources. And so we're just we're looking to do the right thing. We know what's going to go down, and when we know like we're going to create a lot of greatness and help people create greatness for themselves, for them too. And so we're not in a rush. We want to help everybody in every way that we can, although we the last thing we want to do is offer people a half-baked product, or not have the capacity to help people um in the way that we want to, because we're trying to do too many things at once. So um we already have a lot on our plate. It's not like we're not we only have one or two things going. We have a few things going, and we're just focused on those. But we hear you, and thank you for bringing that up because it's something that we definitely talk about.
Okay, so I'm really happy that Dian is asking this question here. It says, will ISA, will Earth Star Academy offer any sort of sliding scale fee? Earth Star Academy is too expensive for me. For your broke down, beat down, overjabbed, over medicated followers in desperate need of your services. So many of my classes, most of them in the past, have been sliding scale. And I've also offered just scholarships and even free tickets to events for people that ask. But specifically for ISA, I'm being guided to not offer a sliding scale, and there's so many reasons for this. The first one is that ISA is a very advanced shamanic school, basically, is an ascension, is a shamanism school. If you look around in the community and in other schools that are out there, they're all charging thousands of dollars. You pay up front, you get 6 months of a curriculum that's nowhere as close as comprehensive as ours. And the reason for that is that
Mhm.
ISA is basically a contracted guardian project, meaning the galactics are streaming this information in to support starseeds. But because you need to be in a grounded and you need to have your root chakra stable to engage in these things, is actually irresponsible for me to offer, these high level classes where we're doing light body activations and planetary clearings and these kinds of things. When $89 is, not available. Now, Earthstar
Mhm.
Academy is going to be here for years and years to
Yep.
come. And so if it's not in your budget at this time, please just focus on that. Create foundation, focus on reclaiming your energy, because this is like, a phone bill or a yoga
Mhm.
studio, right? It's like
Yeah.
I have spent the past 9 years devoted to my mastery, and my ancestors are literally sharing these ancient teachings that are valuable. And if we can't even value this thing that is comprehensive, is supporting us in all these different ways
Mhm.
at $90 a month, then we really need to assess what is valuable to
Yeah.
us in our life.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that is a great perspective to have is definitely to look at it as an investment into yourself. I think that the whole mindset of investing in yourself or investing in general has been lost. Uh like we don't talk about it in high school. We don't, a lot of our parents, because it's just not like a concept that we talk about very much. Like it just kind of slips through the cracks and goes, under the radar. But in investing in yourself is such a, because it's a growth mindset, right? When you believe that you can grow and that you're not static, then you can be in a growth mindset, and then you can start, with that mindset, investing in yourself and growing, right? So like I personally have, grown so much since engaging with these kinds of things, and my capacity to create and my capacity to give and my capacity to love has increased, right? And so like, um I feel like if it is like if it is something where you have to, move some money around, it's a short-term thing before you start becoming, more and more abundant with your money, right? And so shifting into that mindset where it's like investing in me is like the most important thing, because you are an infinite being, and like just being in that mentality where you can grow, and like you can aspire to do greatness, and you can do great things and then put action towards that, whether it be healing, whether it be, taking a class. It's just like you have to be on that track. And if you're not on that track, you can't really look for people to get you on that track. You have to make that choice. And I'm not saying that you haven't made that choice. But what I am saying is that we got to be real here and make those decisions for ourselves. Um, and yeah, so I know you can do it. I know every single person can do it. We just gotta keep the main thing, and realize what our priorities are.
Yeah, and this is really coming from guidance, because every single other thing I've ever offered, I've been totally super chill. Like if people say, "Hey, I need help," I just like literally send them a ticket and a PayPal link, and I'm like, "Yeah, you can just pay what you want, pay what you
Hmm.
can." But for this particular thing, it is about a container. It's a space where everyone is equally committed, and $89, it's still affordable and accessible for all, which is what they want, which is why I'm not charging the regular amount that everyone else does for shamanism school. I mean, this
Yeah.
is like school. You're going to learn all the skills that you need if you want to start a business, to
Hmm.
become the best healer. All of this knowledge is like 3 years worth of knowledge.
Hmm.
And so you got to understand what it is that you're wanting to join and what is valuable about it, and
Yeah.
realize that You're actually paying basically pennies for it. And the exchange is literally just a token of exchange, a token of gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, guys, from a human perspective, it almost hurts my feelings because I've been asked this question a couple of times. And I love you guys. I wish I could just be like, yeah, you can come for free. But it actually doesn't honor me as a person,
Yeah.
as a friend, because, Isa is still 3 months away. And if you're gonna make actually no effort even to try to save up money and to try to
Mm-hmm.
make an effort, right? You could make an effort for the next 3 months to save up money and
Yeah.
generate income. And then in 3 months, if you still couldn't do it and you really want to join, then would be a good time to ask. But to ask now, it shows me that you're not willing to make an effort. And that actually hurts my feelings because it makes me feel like what I
Mm-hmm.
do is not valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. And to kind of segue off that, like one of the main things that is packaged in the education of ISA is agency, right? It's taking responsibilities into your own hands. It's taking the responsibility of your destiny into your own hands, right? And every single person can manage $89 a month, and if they can't, then it's really not that hard to rearrange your reality and to do that. And so if we are star seeds, okay, and think about this for a sec. If you're a star seed and you subscribe to that, then you're a star being. You're a creator, okay. And so we got to get out of this mentality where it's like, oh, like this false matrix, and like we're victims and all this stuff. It's like, no, we are gonna create what's next, okay. And it by we, it's every individual saying me, okay, so that you can contribute, okay. And so that's what it's all about. It's leaving um the old paradigms, the old mindsets, the old perspectives behind, and embracing what you really are, and that's a creator,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah, we're all about getting the job done over here.
We turn the lights on and get the job done,
And
like,
so we
come on.
like agency, right? It's
We
a
love
vibrational
agency,
match kind of thing.
100%. Yeah.
Is the academy going to be limited to persons? Nope. It's going to be open. It's going to be open for years. So if right now is not the time, you can join. You can join months down the line, right? It's just about prioritizing and showing yourself that you can create and provide this for yourself. I mean, come on, guys. It's not.
Yeah, I mean it's less than a phone bill. Netflix these days is $15 a month, and there's absolutely garbage on there anyway.
Just
So why,
bullshit.
like, let's end that subscription. And what are we down to? $74? Come on.
So, thoughts on Aleister Crowley? I'm going to let you do take this one, maybe.
Thoughts on Aleister Crowley? Okay, so
Yeah, what I understand is that, magic and spiritual teachings, they go up many dimensionalities, and you can have advanced spiritual teachings, but they can be working in reverse. So I
mm,
personally know that many of Aleister Crowley's teachings are satanic, meaning they're anti-life, and they're using magic and high-level spirituality for personal gain. And so that's a skirt in my books.
yeah, yeah, and also like that's from like a different like era. Like it seems like really archaic. Um, like like Yeah, I mean, I really love the because with those kinds of teachings, it's really void of quantum and really technical under like ways of breaking down things. And so with almost all teachings, except for some of the greats, in our past, uh they can really be just like, you don't you can find better sources. There's some greats, that have expounded some really really incredible things. um but generally, there's a lot more stuff like Joe Dispenza, for example. Joe Dispenza is going to change your life more than anything Aleister Crowley's going to share with you from 100 years ago or whatever, whenever he lived. you,
Relevance.
yeah, so there's people out there that there's better information, out there. So
Do you have any tips for cultivating relationships with those that have passed on? So I'm assuming you mean that people have transitioned, or in other human words, dead. I feel that the greatest way that you can connect with them is just through the love that you feel for the people, because telepathy actually occurs through the heart. So when you form telepathic communication with beings on the other side, usually, starting with gratitude or love or feeling the love that you have for them will open up almost this little vortex and connect you to that being. And from that place, through the window of love, you're going to be able to receive feelings and imprints and eventually have communication. Hey. When we are alone working with energy and meditating, are we united enough as a group to be able to call everyone in metaphysically to help? So, this is an interesting question. I do a lot of planetary work, things that take a lot of energy, and I don't really call on humans, because we all got enough on our plate. And I think it's, if we're doing something, for example, like if we're somebody's just cooking or if they're busy, it might be weird to just like pull on their energy when we have galactics and we have angelics and we have source energy, which are more infinite sources of energy. And so for me, it's usually enough to just call in my team, work with the elementals, work with the trees, the rocks, the water, and source itself. And, there's teams of beings on the other side that are supporting us
Yeah.
with that.
And I don't mean this specifically to you, Karen, but in general, sometimes if we're trying to call, I don't mean in general, but sometimes if we're trying to call in, people before we're ready, it's kind of like bypassing, like like we're in a stage right now where we just got to get our internal work done. And so, Karen, I'm not exactly sure who you are. You might be like, you know killing it out there and able to do that, but generally for everybody watching, we got to get our internal work done before we start trying to do these planetary things, right? If we haven't even settled our relationship with our parents or something like that. I know some of our relationships, our situations with parents are crazy, but if we're not delving into those, sometimes we need sessions with people. If we're not reaching out, getting sessions, if we're not doing our own work, don't even think about trying to do some like greater work, because it's bypass. We gotta heal ourself. Ourself is the most important thing.
Mhm.
And once we heal ourselves, then we can start doing some incredible stuff.
Yeah, agreed. And I find that right now I'm really interested in experimenting and like more focused and intentional experiences of planetary grid work. So, for example, I'm starting to get intel about specific planetary alignments. So, for example, the next one coming up is January 5th. We're going to be doing organizing a free worldwide kind of mass meditation kind of event where it's aligned when the Earth, the Sun, and Sirius are in alignment. And this came up when we were driving past our Stargate, and the Syrians actually came in and showed me that during that time, they're going to be able to send a signal that the star seeds are going to be able to pick up if our DNA templates are online enough and we know how to work with 12D energy. And then from that place, we're going to be able to do this visualization together, landing that Syrian energy, and we're going to be able to fry mind control technology. That's what I was shown. And so I think that if you're feeling called to join in and things like that, it's kind of like what Shane is saying. Like for many, many, many years, I was training on healing myself and activating my template. So I knew that I was channeling the most pure and highest vibrations of energy. And only now, really, am I getting these high level
Yeah.
missions that I'm able to share and receive and facilitate. And so, I think that it's about, again, efficiency,
Hmm.
because it's about also deliberate action, deliberate intent. I don't just go out and try to wake people up unless I know that my energy is going to be well spent, because prioritizing and spending our energy and our time well is kind of the name of the game.
Yeah. 100%. Yep. Got to work smarter, not harder, and then work your ass off after that.
All right, so let's see here. Everyone around me seems to get possessed. It seems like a temporary possession that only happens to a person when I'm around them. It has been this way for close to a decade now and makes life very difficult to navigate. I think it might be draconian, but I don't know for sure. Have you heard of anything like this? So, I definitely want to just validate that this is something that happens when you are tagged. So, if you experience any abduction when you're young or any traumatic experiences, you can be tagged in the astral for as a targeted person, which then opens up this wormholes in your aura that allows people around you to be possessed. So in my case, I experienced this with my family members. Really, they were trying to shut down my starseed codes, and traumatized me. But of course, you know, it was an attempt that didn't really work. So I would really recommend doing subtle energy training so you can start to feel the holes inside of your own aura and the places where you are disempowered.
Hmm.
And then closing the wormholes in your aura and all these things, you know, they're kind of advanced skills that
Hmm.
we teach in
Yeah.
ESA. And yeah.
Before we move on, I just wanted to say, like, if you haven't seen Z's YouTube video on the modified Vipassana, I send it to every single one of my clients after a session. That's a great place to start. I started using that video. It's really really good. Um,
12D Shield is really great.
12D Shield as well.
12D
Yeah.
Shield is on YouTube. You can search Lisa Renee 12D Shield. That's a really good exercise as well.
Hmm.
I would also recommend going on my YouTube channel. There's a video called Psychic Attacks, and there's another one called Aura, Entities, and Trauma Based Mind Control. And those two videos are about the integrity of our light body and how we can protect ourselves psychically. Okay, so can you please elaborate more about the school dates and can we sign up now? So it's going to be coming. The launch date that we have is February 22nd. We're working very hard, and if we finish with the videos, we will launch earlier. We're kind of going as quickly as we can. I can feel the collective needing this, so I've actually canceled and refunded all of my sessions for the rest of December so I can get onto it and, you know, record the videos as soon as I can. So you will definitely hear about it when it comes out. We're going to be launching on all of the beginner classes and some of the intermediate classes. When I'm done recording those, I will launch and then I'll keep recording the rest of the curriculum as we go on. So, Dean says, yeah, but if I could heal myself, I wouldn't need you guys. $89 probably sounds like nothing to rich people like you guys, but to us struggling, it's a lot. Listen, Deanne, I lived in my car and I
Yeah.
was homeless.
Yep.
And I just did whatever it is that I needed to do
Yeah.
to be on this path. And for
Hmm.
4 or 5 years, I meditated, I did everything, I listened to my guidance, I trained, I lived in my car, I slept on the side of rivers. And, you know, I was
Hmm.
kicked out of my family's home when I was 16 years old and I was homeless, you know,
Yeah.
at 16. And
Exactly.
so, you know, I'm not a rich person. I'm definitely someone that had agency and knew what I wanted, knew what I needed to do.
Hmm.
And this is was part of my mastery training.
Yeah.
Like if somebody just handed stuff to me, you know, I wouldn't be the person that I am today because this path and
Hmm.
this training and my mission means something to me. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get myself what I need.
Yeah.
And if I, as a 16-year-old, could do that,
Hmm.
so can you.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally I I was waiting for Z to drop that because both of us have struggled not knowing where food was gonna come from and certain things, but it comes down to there's always times in your life where you can either choose to take responsibility for your success and your healing and your destiny into your own hands, or um say that it's someone else's fault. You didn't do this. Like if like you're saying like you didn't do this for me, and that person didn't do that for me, and it's all your fault. But that's a victimizer. That's a victim mindset. And Deanne, I love you, and I believe in you. Okay, because
And
you're a
we know the world is hard.
yeah, and yeah, because we've been through it, and but you're a human being, and that's the only prerequisite that you need to be to create the life and the the um the destiny that you're here to create. And I did want to add a caveat though, like the only like we are considering scholarships for single moms. Single moms, if you got kids, we totally get it, And so those are the cohort, or the people, the group of people that we want to support. Because my mom was a single mom raising two kids. I saw that it was really hard. My mom was my hero because she made it happen, and I see the struggle. I've been in the struggle, but pressure makes diamonds, or you get crushed. And I know that you can be a diamond, so shine bright.
Simply Life says, is it limited space? It's not limited space. There's plenty of space. We're designing systems to be able to support as many of you as we can. There's going to just be, I mean, it's not even just the classes. It's going to be weekly live healings, group healings, systems of healings, Q&A, support, all sorts of stuff. It's going to be like a yoga studio of Starseed Mission Support. So you're going to be getting so much value out of that, we promise. And also, this school, like our goal is really to support Starseeds on a path of establishing a thriving business, because we know that you guys are meant to be generating, income. We have classes that we're preparing to help you protect your assets and creating, legal trusts and protecting your assets from the IRS and all of these things. And also, time management and business skills. All of these things we're going to be putting inside of this container. Again, you know, there are spiritual business courses that are $10,000.
Yeah.
Shane and I have taken classes that are 10K. And so,
Hmm.
we're really wanting to support, and there's that investment in yourself. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm so happy about those
Hmm.
dollars that I spent on myself because I got so much out of it. And if I didn't spend money on it, or if I didn't give what I felt was,
Hmm.
something that was valuable to me, then I wouldn't have got as much out of it. No?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Gabby says, can you share any insight on unhealthy phone habits? I seem to keep getting thrown back into a pattern of checking my email and text more than I want when I'm trying to focus on other things. For me, I've decided that I'm actually gonna uninstall email and messenger from my phone, because I definitely know as a business owner that you just want to like make sure that everybody's taken care of. You want to make sure that all the emails are answered, but creating boundaries for yourself, say like, okay, every day at this time for 30 minutes, I'm going to check my email. And besides that time, I'm not going to go in there, and, take that app off of your phone. And,
Hmm.
people don't need access to you all the time.
Hmm.
Even text messages, people don't need to be talking to you, and they can wait for a response for 6 hours.
Totally. 100% agree.
And I think another thing to be aware of is that, our phone can open portals in our consciousness,
Hmm.
right? So if we're just mindlessly watching something or just, scrolling, this literally creating this little thought tunnel that's allowing unwanted energies
Hmm.
to move into your space, and that
Yeah.
will drain more of your energy.
Yeah. And I think um, uh, creating healthy habits is a really important thing here. It's like, so we all have 24 hours in a day, right? When we have free time, what's your habitual thing to do? Is it to just, do nothing on social media, or is it to educate yourself and
Cultivate a skill.
cultivate a
I
skill?
love
and
that.
and, and so something that really kind of helped me, I just fell in love. So like I fell in love with certain genres of knowledge, of education. And so like a lot of what I'll do is I'll just, you know educate myself. I love it. I'm just, there's certain channels on YouTube that I've literally just gone through all their stuff, and like they release a video, it's fucking watch, and oh, it's just a done deal right there. Sign the contract, sign me up. I'm on it. And so yeah, like find stuff that interests you, and expand as a person, instead of, because if you are disconnecting and you're like not present, and you're just doing things to unplug, then you're actually, dying, because you're not living. You're not
Or
like.
pick, more nourishing things. Like if you need to rest and you
Mhm.
need to relax, like take a bath,
Totally.
massage yourself, do
Hmm.
things that, actually can
Yeah.
create. Whereas when you just scroll, you actually deplete your energy.
Hmm.
And our time is really our most valuable thing.
Hmm.
Time is the most valuable thing, because you guys are seeing like all the success that I seem to be having right now is because for the last 9 years, I've literally just been head down, hands in the dirt,
Hmm.
working on something, cultivating a skill. And in this day and age, it's just all about like make money fast, get rich
Hmm.
quick. And it's like there's no replacement
Yeah.
for cultivating a skill.
Exactly, 100%. And so I think a great exercise for that is to like just sit down with a sheet of paper, and put on that piece of paper potential habits, or potential ways to use your time. It could be like what I did. I went on YouTube, and I searched up I found a bunch of channels. I subscribed to them. I found a bunch of playlists on YouTube that I subscribe to, and so then I just kind of fall back on those things, to educate myself. And then the cool thing about educating yourself is that there's like you'll be exposed to certain concepts, and then you'll want to learn more about those things. Like once I started doing research on history, I was like, oh my god. And then like, what happened over there? But then like, oh, okay, but then what happened like over, this way? I don't know, that was a bad, we're gonna redact that, but that was a bad finger pointing maneuver. But but no, seriously, I just fell in love with all these different things I could learn about in the history genre, and I did the same thing with healing, did the same thing with personal development. And maybe learning isn't your thing, but you got to find something. Where the boredom is a sign of, I think this is actually an Einstein quote, like boredom is a sign of of not intelligence or something like that. Like we're all creator beings, find
Or
some.
just untapped intelligence. Like you're not
Yeah.
actually using the
Yeah.
intelligence.
And
I
so
didn't want people to think you were saying they're stupid.
no, I know, but I'm not really. I'm 100% not. I'm just trying.
Occupy your intelligence.
Yes,
Occupy your time.
engage it, invoke it, and or just find something that could be painting. I'm not a painter, in this life, maybe later in life, but I used to paint, but I mean, but if you paint right now, do it, man. Like
Yeah.
like what's stopping you from creating habits that are awesome?
This reminds me of something that Cara said when she was transitioning into the other world in May 2 years ago. She said, if you love life, then don't waste time because time is what life is made of. And
Hmm.
it's actually a Bruce Lee quote. But she just was, and I was like, yeah, like she was so productive in the 9 days that she was here because she knew exactly what she was doing and she was doing it in every dimension. Like all my clients were emailing me about how she was in their dreams and she was showing up in their meditations and she was supporting all these people and building stargates and all these things. And in no moment was she scrolling because she was, an infant. But anyway.
And guys, come on, like you're gonna scroll. Everyone's gonna do a little scrolly scroll, but just come on, like we just if you're really committed to doing doing some great stuff, we are all responsible for how we spend our time, and we just got to be really serious
You
about that.
deserve that.
Yeah,
You deserve
totally.
to reclaim your time. So Tasha, I mean, it's like the world has literally trained us to give away our time and energy. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what the enslavement system
Yeah,
is. That's
exactly.
how it's a farm of
Yeah.
human energy because
Mm-hmm.
almost barely any human being on this planet have absolute sovereignty over their
Yeah.
time, which is why even 5 minutes or 10 minutes, the
Yeah.
time that you're on your phone, it's precious.
Yeah. And just a quick story on that. Like I stopped watching sports like a long time ago. Like I'll watch some highlights here and there, and I'll watch like a big game or something like that. But like I realized that like if I'm like super like I need to watch all these games, like that takes up so much of your time. Like it's really a waste of time. And if that's you, that's you. But I'm just like, that's an example of my life, something I did to free up time, because we only got 24 hours.
I mean, that's like a audit. Have an
Exactly.
audit.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. Audit your time. Sit down and say, well, how am I spending my time? Because so many times I hear people say, well, oh, I don't have time to meditate, or I don't have time to take your school, I don't have time to do all these things. And then when they're spending 2 hours watching Netflix, and I'm like, okay, well, just audit. Like,
Yeah.
what is your priority
Yeah.
here? Um,
Yeah.
I'm gonna move on here. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Because I think what's going on here, that there's something that I was trying to get across before we move on, and it's really like a perspective thing. And when you brought up the word audit, it's like it's kind of something that we're both always doing. It's like, we're all,
Consistently.
yeah, we're always kind of like evaluating how we're using our time because we want to level up. Like the cool thing is that once you're in the growth mindset and you get over like the learning curves, and you get into a flow and you get into a momentum, that you constantly want to figure out ways on how you can continue to level up. And so yeah, we're constantly kind of like auditing. It's like, let's do something else. And
No, it's true. I mean, the way that we have designed our space here is that, all of our bedrooms are functional. Our house is very functional. We have a bedroom, we have a yoga room, we have a music studio, and we have an office. And every single day, we focus on those things as prioritizing our life. So there's no TV room, there's no board game room, even though maybe some board games are fun, but I think we're a little bit excessive. Like we're just like we get high and we get off of productivity. Basically, we're
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Oh, we like getting the job done.
Because when you're creating and you know that what you're creating is directly liberating humanity, like, what else do you need really?
Hmm.
Like, there's nothing that matches to that feeling.
Hmm.
Oh, I was just wanting to move on because I'm
Yeah.
really fired up about this next question.
Yeah.
It says, "Do you think Jasara will happen? And if and when it does, is it a good thing or a bad thing?"
What is that?
Jasara, okay, so is this common folk myth legend that some governmental body, possibly the ancient dragon families, will just give everybody money? And I know that you're gonna have a lot to say about this because, I mean, you love the idea of just giving people free money, don't you?
Hey, you hit me up with a document of like a pitch, and you broken down, and you got like a contents table, and you like know exactly what you want to do. Oh my God, I will throw some money at
But
you.
you know what's funny is that I actually had this whole experience on the land last year where I had like 9 people living here and I was giving them all like free money, and it actually didn't, it was an
Yeah,
experiment and it didn't
it's
work at all.
yeah.
And so the way that I perceive Jasara, is there a shift in the financial system of the planet? Absolutely. Is there a redistribution of wealth? Absolutely. The reason why is because these prison systems of energy siphoning are being removed by the galactics and the grid works on this planet. And so the original templates of creation can begin to function again, where human beings are, if you have a desire, it's like the American dream in the human terms, right?
I
If you
love the
have a
American dream.
desire and you
I'm
want to
Canadian,
create
but
something, you can go and create that. Whereas for so long, it was really hard to do that,
yeah.
right? Because it was poverty and there was control and all this.
Hmm.
So there is a shift in this ease of being able to tap into cosmic creation energy and create
Yeah.
abundance. And the return of this template to
Hmm.
the original angelic human is the actual metaphysical
Yeah.
great financial reset.
I think a really cool. I'm sorry.
No, you
Some
go ahead.
okay. I think a really cool idea is like if let's say we had really good high schools. Like let's say for once like 1 sec, let's just say that we had really good high schools. And then when people graduate from high school, instead of just giving people money randomly, they had to graduate like a really good high school that taught them about agency and about creation. They received that money after they graduated so they could actually do something with it. Like I think that's a good idea. I think giving people money blindly, it creates a dynamic where that person doesn't want to continue to do work, so then they'll ask for more money later.
And this is exactly what I saw in the land last year, is that when you actually give people what they need, to me, I thought it was a great idea, because if somebody just gave me money and was like, "Here, you can live and eat for free. All of your needs are taken care of." I would be like training and meditating and just getting my
Yeah.
DNA online. I just assumed that that's what everybody would do. But actually, these people were spiritual people. They were very, online, and they believed in ideals. They even had dreams, and really nobody made really any progress towards that because they didn't really have to work for it. There was
Hmm.
no agency.
Yeah.
And so this is connected to the socialist country
Yeah.
scenario, or is it communism? You say it's
Well,
communism.
I mean, there's communism and it's also socialism. I think that and this is not a new take, but I think that governmental programs that give people also in developing countries when they just do like a resource drop, I forget what it's called, but like they just
It doesn't foster sovereignty.
it
Yeah.
and it like it fosters dependency on the people that just give the resources. What we want here is we don't like let me just back up. Okay, so like governmental programs that give money without building skill sets within the people, it creates dynamics where dependency is the result,
Mhm.
right? And we like dependency is literally the opposite of sovereignty. It literally is the opposite of sovereignty,
Yeah.
right? Like I think we can all agree to that, right? And so we want people to be in their creatorhood, right? In their empowered state where they can provide for their families and they can be an example
And
for
experience the fulfillment that you
exactly.
bring something that is no thing, and you move it into creation. There's such a orgasmic and profound level of fulfillment that happens almost like a chemical reaction, because these bodies were built to create. We're creator beings.
Hmm. Well,
We like that question.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Jeremy says, how do I keep my higher nice side selves in check? Specifically, the 8D Anunnaki money power manipulation. Great question, Jeremy. Sneaky part there. I would recommend going higher so that you're connecting to even higher dimensional aspects, and then from a higher vantage point, re and correcting the geometry of those lower dimensional aspects, that and using commands is another great thing to do. Um, yeah, but it's great that you're coming aware of that, and just know that, higher dimensional healings are usually happening on a more archetypal and collective way, and that just by becoming aware of it, you already well on your way to correcting that. And it's probably going to take some time if it's a collective and overarching energy, especially if it's like in the ancestral line as well. Just know that it's part of your mission to correct that energy. And clearly, you have a higher self part that is in the front because you're noticing it, and there is a desire to keep them in check. Yeah. Another thing is just to be mindful of every now moment, when you are living your life, how are you expressing yourself? How are you creating your offers? How are you actually going about, the mastery of creation energy and money? And being aware, again, auditing yourself, just being aware. I think that self-awareness is
Hmm.
really the portal into all of this, because really that self-awareness, when it's higher self-awareness, it's full of self-compassion and self-love. It's not like, oh crap, I did that thing again, I wasted my time all day and I can't believe I'm never going to send, or oh no, I'm so bad. It's just neutral awareness where there is still unconditional love, no matter how bad or distorted we are. But just becoming aware of things, and then slowly through that awareness making different choices and choosing to spend our time in a way that directly veer ourselves. And I think there's an ancient Native American parable about feeding the wolves, right? Which wolf are we feeding? Because the more that we
Mm.
feed the positive and beautiful and divine qualities in ourselves, the more they grow and they'll starve out, the other ones that we're not feeding with our attention.
Yep.
Okay. Can't wait to get fired for refusing the job so I can be a full-time galactic shaman. So excited. I'm going to highlight that one. I like that one. Shayna Z, what is your sun, rising, and moon sign?
Oh snap! I like that question. I always like that question.
Like being asked that question? You just want to show off your chart?
I like it. I like my chart. I think it's a good one.
Okay, you go first.
And I think everyone should feel the same way. Like I don't know. Like once I kind of clicked into what it like, cause I resonate with it. Anyway, whatever. Mine is uh, mine is Taurus Sun, Libra Moon, and Capricorn Rising.
Okay, and what's mine?
You are Cancer Sun, um, Pisces Rising, and Gemini Moon.
I didn't think he was going to get that.
Damn it! I almost didn't.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see here. Badoo, badoo, badoo. So, what could be the missing link that I do all my healing, spiritual work by inner knowing, trust, but not able to explain consciously? Is it a missing part with a higher mind of understanding? So, I'm not fully, it's kind of ironic because I'm not understanding this question fully, but I think that perhaps it may have to do with the earth self. And this is something that we find a lot, that there's, really tapped in super spiritual people that, just doesn't you they don't use punctuation, and they write me emails that are like 3 pages long, and it's just like spiritual rambling the whole time, and I have no idea what they're talking about. It all sounds very fantastic. There's like dolphins and Sirius and ETs and all sorts of stuff. And I
Yeah.
think that this is just the higher self. They're so tapped in. There's no doubt about how gifted they are spiritually. But in order for that to click in and be applicable and functional and even useful, because
Hmm.
you're here to be support to humanity. So if humanity can't understand you,
Yeah.
then you're kind of useless.
A great example I like to give is Jesus. He was, he's one of the greatest communicators that we've ever known, right? Like everybody, like they use his quotes, right? And so like if he is one of like the highest spiritual like people that like we have ever recorded, and he is the best communicator, one of the best communicators that we've ever known as well, I think there's a correlation there, right? Like a spiritual person that's grounded is always communicating well, and they don't just assume that someone's going to pick up their energy or anything like that. It's like they know that they communicate in a way that's easily understood by all. And so and sometimes I think a lot of this would um be solved if they just read what they typed. Like I have a hard time believing that if they read back to themselves what they just typed up on their phone or their laptop, that they would also wouldn't know what they're like what it says. And if they read it back and it sounds coherent to them, then that's like a problem in itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, this happens at least once a week where I will get like a 5-page essay on somebody's whole life, but it's like there's no punctuation and there's lots of emojis and there's just like, it's like every possible spiritual word known to man would be on there. And I think that, again, this is just like a root chakra, human self, human ego kind of thing. There's just fragmentation and integration needs to happen, grounding needs to happen. Sometimes starseeds have a real resistance to being normal or being human, because our whole idea of being human was like, just put into our head from a young age, and it was very uncomfortable that these false personalities were imprinted. So it's almost like this immature act of rebellion, and then at a certain point a maturation happens. And I think this is another reason why we need um, initiations, and passage, rites of passage, where there's specific moment when we become an adult and we really learn what being an adult entails. And in our world, nobody wants to be an adult, right? When I saw my parents being adults, I'm like, oh my god, life sucks, I'm never going to be an adult. But then at a certain point we have to kind of learn what the original vibrations of maturing is, and what being a mature spiritual being, an embodied spiritual being, what are the perks of that, why it feels good, and why it's so spiritually important for us to grow, not just spiritually but also our ego. And in our school we call this ego training, right? Where we are cultivating and developing our human self into the being that we're here to be, and not just a memory of who we were once, but our human self. Z, whoever I've been in a past life doesn't matter, because I'm Z right here, right now. And what am I going to make Z into? What is my unique expression of the universe at this point? What is the highest potential that this body is coded to be in this lifetime? And that stuff is so interesting to me, right? Thinking about your life as this overarching story where you're in the middle of it and you're really in the beginning of it even, and that there's so much cultivation, and the cultivation itself is so rich, that the process of cultivating and sculpting yourself, these are the things that I wish my parents nurtured in me, instead of like, you have to be the best doctor so you can survive. That's just not a very nurturing way to support the maturation of children.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add on that?
Nope.
Okay. Darren Young says, I feel a strong guidance to move back to the country I was born and raised in, New Zealand, but I feel so much resistance because of childhood trauma, and there's not much spiritual community there, but I feel guided. So just take your time, right? Being called back to your birth country, this is some profound stuff, because the place that you're born, there are geometries in your bones and your light body that connects with that land. And so when you go back, you're going to be able to access so much ancestral power and different kinds of things like that. And if there's resistance because of childhood trauma, then just take your time and unpack it. Take your time to actually talk to all your parts that have different feelings. Don't just try to drag them over there. Give them the space and the respect to actually feel all of your feelings about
Hmm.
that. And then you're going to be able to make a collective decision
Yeah.
on what you like to do.
Hmm.
Yeah. I loved your workshop. Last weekend, I had a lot of fear during one of the ceremonies. Would you say this was a clearing symptom? This can be a clearing symptom. Sometimes, people are also resistant and afraid of connecting to higher dimensional selves because different things that have happened in past lives when you were an active divine being. There's an active war on spirituality on this planet, and many of us have been killed and tortured in the past for shining our light. And so this could be another thing. If you were abducted as a child, opening multidimensional access could trigger fear as well. So there could be, a bunch of different things that happen on that front. Tasha says, how does paying for the school work? It's monthly on a subscription. It's actually not 13 months this time because the content on it really, like, I think if somebody went from beginning to the end and really sat down with all the material,
Hmm.
it's going to take about 3 years.
Yeah.
And this is, it's like with all this knowledge, you're going to be able to unplug any human being from the false matrix. You're going to know how to heal them, right? And this is really the thing
Hmm.
of supporting humanity through healing from planetary enslavement.
Yeah.
And so it's a self-paced class.
Hmm.
I highly recommend you guys not skip the first level, even if you've read books about chakras and you're like, oh, I already know about chakras. Like, don't skip the beginner level class. And
Well,
you can even just you can take the class for a few months and then turn off your subscription, and then you won't have access to the class, but you can make money and then sign back up again when
yeah.
you want.
Yeah, the other thing is that, like, we gave the Google example before, or I gave the Google example before, how they started with search and they kind of branched off, and now they're in, like, every industry. They do smartphones too, even. Um, with that, you have access to the academy, but then you're also going to get access to live videos. You're gonna have access to um like other things like the Pleiades Gateway that are exclusive to in the to ESA. Also, we're gonna have eventually a store where you can buy some of your favorite products, and so you get a percentage off there by being part of the academy. And so we're gonna over time add on a whole bunch of things that make it amazing to just be a part of. It's kind of like Amazon Prime, but we got your spirit on Prime.
Why is it that our own families seemingly do not have our best interest at heart? Plus, they can live in denial of the implications of their actions, yet I know we chose those parents. So this is a great question. Both Shane and I had experiences of abuse with family and with parents, and I think and I won't speak for you, but I definitely feel like for me, that it gave me this opportunity to show up for myself and to also realize that when you're a starseed and you have a template. I was just doing a session with somebody last week, and they're like, yeah, I always felt really critical of my parents, like, why weren't they angels, but then I realized it's because I've got this divine angelic template, and I was expecting them to be like me. I was expecting them to be mature. I was expecting them to be these master beings. And I realized that, they were just my portals into this world, and they were doing the best they can. And so,
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, and that can be really hard. Sometimes, it's a lesson in boundaries. If someone in your family is not treating you the way that you deserve, you gotta stand up for that. Sometimes it requires, removing yourself from that situation for a period of time. But yeah, like, I ultimately wouldn't change anything. It made me the person I am today. And yes, like, a lot of the time we're born into families to um, for karmic processes so that they can develop your character in a certain way. And so having that objective understanding has actually helped me um, can reconnect with my family in a different way, where I don't necessarily allow them to you know talk to me, or not that they really do anymore, but like I've gained a level of um self-respect and agency to just carry myself in a certain way. And just in the act of carrying yourself in a certain way, you actually shut the door for a lot of dynamics and situations to eventually occur. And that's really the goal at the end of the day.
excited for this question here. It says, what are your thoughts on masturbation? So, I think that this is a really powerful healing tool for people. I'm going to speak for women to engage in because, I'm not a man, so I don't know. You can answer that question I guess. But yeah, so it's actually gonna be a big part. I guess I actually haven't announced that I'm gonna be opening a womb healing, 9-week womb healing container in January. There's other special things that I won't say about it right now. But anyway, somatic healing is actually going to be a really big part of it because I realize that with the root chakra work, with the sexual healing work, all of these things are opening up our foundation and our stability and our connection to our physical body. And so what I've noticed about our energy systems is that most people, their energy system is imprinted to be running in reverse. And so when you're running sexual energy, it basically just leaks out of the body. This is another reason why we have a hard time gathering our creative energy to pour it actually into creations, right? If we're like, oh, I want to write a book or I want to do this thing, but then we just aren't doing it. It's like all our energy and our time going to the phone, going to work. This is a leak of our
Hmm.
creation energy. And
Hmm.
so, working with masturbation, or I don't really like using that word, self pleasure, or, running sexual energy, working with arousal, all of these things are tools that you can work with your body directly in reclaiming that energy and to
Hmm.
know the direction of the flow of energy through your energy system and where it's going and what it's nourishing.
Hmm.
And so, in the Taoist practices, running creation energy through your organs can nourish all of your organ systems and also extend your life because you're able to cycle life force energy, and this gives you vital health and longevity.
Hmm.
Another thing that this is good for is to gain body awareness and to connect with your body and to just gather that energy for
Hmm.
goodness.
Yeah, I would definitely just touch on like how you're doing it is the most important thing. If you just like, oh, I need to get off right now, like that's the opposite of why you should be doing it and how you should be doing it, because that right there is just a leak.
But I think that this is tricky though. Like we're gonna get into like December is gonna be kind of sexual healing month because I'm gonna be making a video on sexual misery programming. We're gonna be making a video on patriarchy as a planetary control virus because this whole planet was literally designed to siphon your creation energy, and that begins with our sexuality. And so, this was really frustrating for me because as somebody that went through childhood sexual abuse and then, found pornography when I was 11 years old, I had to do a lot of healing around how my mind and how my subconscious was programmed around sexual arousal and how, there were literally implants that were forcing my nervous system to become aroused by things that, aren't natural.
Hmm.
Right? Things like violence and degradation of women. These
Hmm.
things are normalized in our society to be things that cause arousal for men and even for women.
Hmm.
I have a lot of women that email me that say like, hey, when I'm masturbating, I have to fantasize about, violent situations that I know I won't enjoy in real life, but that's the only way for me to get aroused.
Yeah.
And that's just a clear sign that there are programs and implants that are rewiring and reversing our current, which is just the
Yeah.
terribly shitty thing that we have to deal with.
Totally. Yeah, I just wanted to draw the focus and the intention to making sure that like you're connecting with your with your sacred sexuality, right? Like if if we're just like put it on Pornhub or something and just that is just you're actually degrading yourself, and you're
Yeah.
actually not respecting yourself.
Yeah.
So,
And this is like kind of really tricky, right? So I recommend the first practice really in the reclaiming of that and reclaiming our sexual innocence is to masturbate without fantasizing. It's something as simple as, just coming back to the body and generating sexual energy. Many people have a really hard time doing that
mhm,
because we've just been so mind controlled and trained to respond to negative programming around sex. And this is nothing to be ashamed of, right? It's not like, you chose this. And in fact, once we get over the shame, I find that oftentimes there's a lot of rage and anger and grief because we feel like, I mean, this is societal sexual abuse, really, right? When our innocence has been invaded and distorted like that, we should get really angry about it. And it could feel frustrating and depleting to not have that control or access to our own sacred creation energy. Is a very vulnerable and intimate thing. So clearly, I'm very passionate about it. I can't
mhm.
wait for December. um, Let's see here. Do 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 do. Can I be a starseed if I'm 55 years old? Absolutely. I mean, I think that a lot of starseeds started incarnating in the 30s, like as early as the 30s. Starseeds were incarnating in mass, and there were other starseeds that incarnated in other times. I knew that we come in time cycles as well, so we've been incarnating on the planet for a long time, like
Mm-hmm.
thousands and thousands of years. Even seeding certain religions like Tibetan Buddhism and different Native American rituals, the white buffalo Catholic woman, all of these are there's a unified single story that's occurring. Okay, I'm scanning. Did you read The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you were telling me about that.
Yeah. Why? What did it say?
It says 10,000 hours to become a master of anything. Check out the book
Yeah.
Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell.
Yep. That was a great book. I like that book a lot.
Because I think you were reading it when we first met and you were trying to tell me about it.
Yep. It was good. It was a good one.
Okay. I'm just scrolling through here.
Do your inner scroll. I like that for the this body scan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Choo.
Nope.
Bypass. Let's see here. I want my acidic powers. Same, sister.
Thanks, Kat. You're so nice.
Aww.
You have such a great heart yourself. You're killing it, by the way. Your growth has been remarkable.
Noticeable, yeah?
Yeah. I just wanna shine a light on that. You know, shine a light on that diamond. Watch it glisten with all the little facets for a second. You know.
Okay. Question. I've become weary of educating myself after learning that we've been lied to so much. Not to mention spiritual matters. The topic is so broad, it gets overwhelming. Any tips? I'll start. So Shane and I are a little bit different because I'm not like a facts kind of nerd. I'm like a skills kind of nerd, and so it's easy because I just go out and find the information that I need. So it comes from a source, right? So for example, if making music is something that I actually professionally trained in. I was going to university for classical piano. And so when I want to know something very specific about my music making, I will look it up. And otherwise, I'm just in the process of creating. And same for any skill, yoga or, any other thing that I'm cultivating as a skill. That's more where I prefer to nerd out. And then as far as spiritual matters, I think that you can have a North Star, which is your personal realization. Like you are
Mm-hmm.
here to realize yourself as a creator being. And so really your North Star is dependent on what you want to experience and what you want to have and what you want to achieve in this life. It's not really about some unified goal. People might think like, oh, we're going to ascend or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what is interesting to you? And then go find someone to support you with skills in that, but really you're the leader
Mm-hmm.
and inside of your own self and inside of your world.
Yeah, and a good benchmark for finding information is you want and the thing is that the other thing here is that you can never be right, okay? But if you don't take action at all, I want to comment on this one in a second.
Okay.
But if you don't take action at all because you don't want to be led astray, that in itself is its own poison, right? And so a good benchmark though is you wanna find information from people who have been where you are and are where you want to be, or who have what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if somehow you end up realizing that this person isn't really who they say they are, you're gonna learn, right? You're gonna zig and you're gonna zag, and you're gonna figure out what's legit, what's not legit. But yeah, so that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what I've done. I've kind of scanned, and I've found people who either have been where I want, or where I've been, and who are where I want to be, or people who have what I want. And that basically is because You want to learn from people who have like uh a technical understanding of things. Like, you don't, the last person you want to learn from is someone who isn't where you want, or like isn't what you isn't the person that you want to be, or doesn't have what you want. Because then, like, how the fuck are you going to know if it's legit or not? Like, you have to like go empirically on that standpoint. Like,
Yeah.
you know what
And
I
I
mean?
think having that North Star of like why is really important. Like, why are you finding teachers? Is it because you want to feel better in your life or because you want to create a business? Because when people are just mindlessly or not intentionally finding information, then, it's like you're not actually the deliberate creator of your reality. And so if what you're wanting is to find information that help you activate your light body, that's a skill and a certain set of information, and information don't make people somehow higher up than you or gurus, right? This is like the new age that we're going into, where you are the master in your side of your life. And yes, there are people that are skilled and that have mastered certain things that can help you and teach you certain things, but at the end of the day, you are the master inside of your own world, and you're just
Hmm.
outsourcing skills and you're learning.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah. And there's kind of like layers to getting education. If you need to get information on how to do your taxes, like, you don't necessarily need to be
Yeah.
aligned with that person's character
Yeah, and
a
don't
hundred
come to
percent
me for that.
Yeah. Hey, maybe in a little bit. I mean, what's it called? There's like the tax software that's so easy. If you guys aren't using that shit, oh my goodness, get on
Mm-hmm.
it. Unless you have some, like, investments and all this, then get a tax person that will save you some money. But
Want to do that?
but what I was just gonna say though is that, like, yeah, if you're trying to learn some things on how to do your taxes, like, you don't necessarily need to like believe in that person's like spiritual or like life mission 100%. If you want to learn spiritually, from someone, you got to like align with your values like really really closely, right? Values is really really important when you're trying to curate and cultivate your character and who you're going to be in the world, right? So um, there's a comment here saying that nothing good comes from any governmental program. Um, if you partake, they control you. And I think that, in certain eras in history, that's true 100%. I think that if that is your perspective categorically, and you don't, and you're not open to the possibility of government being benevolent and helping people, I think that hinders you. Because that's coming, right? Government is of the people, for the people, by the people. And soon it's
That's what
gonna.
it's supposed to be, yeah, in the original template. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like it's like I mean, a lot of you are carrying like royal DNA from different galactic lineages, and you know that the original template for the king, for the queen, for the sovereign is that you are actually a servant for the people, meaning you are of service,
Mm-hmm.
right, to everyone.
Servant leader.
Yeah, and so what that means is that that whole concept has been flipped. And I know that, from my ancestry, like if you look into the ancient Taoist books, you'll find a lot of, poetry about
Mm-hmm.
how the government can be
Yeah.
a loving force that supports the evolution of a society, which is
Mm-hmm.
really what it's supposed to be about.
Yeah. And how, like, the mindset of a government should be to parent, right? And in parenting, what you're really doing is you're invoking the gifts, invoking the genius from people. And so, like, creating systems in place to help that process of invocation of intelligence, of genius, of God from people. I mean, government can really definitely do that in the right scenario.
Okay. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. Okay, sorry, I think we're like 20 minutes behind in the comments here, so I'm just. When are you doing the classes on how to consciously conceive and birth our galactic family that are asking to come through? This is going to be an intermediate class in ESA, and I'm also going to be facilitating a 9-week womb original creation template class that I'll definitely share more with you guys starting next month. I'm still percolating in the codes. They're quite intense. And so um, more information is coming. Do, 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 do. How are you planning on celebrating the solstice, December 21st? Tips for preparing? The energy feels to me very like community oriented, very loving, feels like you want to, celebrate and be grateful. Almost feels like a Thanksgiving kind of energy, but less consumerism in me.
I
um,
mean, we like those deals. We like those. Keep those coming. Oh, I mean, come on.
but yeah, so far nothing I mean, something major is happening in my life around that time, personally. And so I'm gonna it's just like this major timeline shift. This coming timeline shift feels like an upshift into involvement and active participation in the driving of planetary timelines. And so, again, feels like an activation and stepping forward of that power embodied in a benevolent way. So that's what it feels like to me. I think it might be different. I'm curious to see what other people are experiencing. Okay. Doop, ba-doop, doo. What can you say about the incarnation of starseeds now in their tween and teen years? This is a really interesting question. I don't know very many, but the ones that I do know, they are absolutely phenomenal. I feel like there's a lot of scientists and technicians that really are needing their parents and us, the older generation starseeds to create a great foundation. This is why I'm just so bent on working really hard, really, is because I want to create, a foundation so that when Cara, oh crap, I've spilled the juice, but when when I have children in the future, when I have children in the future, that they can just go directly into their mission. So the young kids that are coming in, they're very technical. They have their very specific skills. They're here to really create these new systems in society, create new technology, evolve on from the ground up. They're coming from these galactic places and they have their memories intact, and they're bringing these skills here to the earth to begin to create massive shift on the ground. And they're going to need foundation, they're going to need protection, they're going to need assets, they're going to need resources. And so, everything that we're doing right now, I understand that we're really creating that strong foundation because creation energy and where money comes from is really important. It's all part of the alchemy. And so, we are the ones that have to generate that energy. And so, sometimes I see older starseeds that are just sitting around waiting for a handout, waiting, and they're like, oh, I'll just get a sponsor or I get an investor.
Mm,
We're supposed to be investing.
yeah.
We're the investors, right?
Well, but the other thing though is that like investors are out there, but if you're just like, floating through life like a leaf in the wind and you're like, "Oh, I'll wait for an investor." Like investor a real investor, like okay, I mean, okay. An investor that values their money is not going to give anybody any a cent unless that person has like a real business plan, a real project, a contents table. They have like documents detailing exactly what they want to do. They've already started it. They have market response. You know what I mean though? Like just saying like, "Oh, someone's going to give me money to do this thing," and you haven't even created the documents, like you have not stated what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, in any sort of semblance, then it's like it's just ridiculous and delusional at that point.
I just get high off of sovereign creation power. Like, you guys, it wasn't easy. Like, I mean, you guys are seeing, oh, Z's, they have, selling all these tickets to this event, and she's, channeling this ceremonies, and they're so powerful. Like, this has been 9 years in the making. You guys had no idea who I was
Mm-hmm.
3 years before. So I
Yeah.
spent 6 whole years
Mm-hmm.
head in the books,
Mm-hmm.
doing whatever it is that my higher self asked me to do, fully
Yeah.
committed. I
Yeah.
was living in my car. I had no money, didn't know where my food was coming from. And I just had to follow that commitment in myself. And so, it's not like God is just handing me money to do these things.
Yeah.
But I get high off of it. Like,
Yeah.
that's just my personality. Is like, I don't there's been people that have wanted to give me money for the center, but their energies weren't aligned, and I literally, have rejected millions of dollars because that's just part of the initiation.
Yeah.
And I know how important creation energy is, and the integrity in how we create finances is equally important because a lot of people say, well, oh, light workers aren't supposed to have money or you're not supposed to get paid. Well, if we don't have money and we're not the ones that are creating, who's going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
What are the elites are the ones that have to steward, like if anyone gets to steward resources, it's us.
Yeah.
But we're the ones that are cultivating the human maturity to be able to steward that money. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's an organic process of evolution
Yeah.
that takes a long time.
Absolutely. And greatness is created when no one's watching. Like greatness is always a product of what you do when no one's watching, right? Like that's just what it is. It's like in the cover of darkness when like no one's screaming your name, like how are you making it happen? Every single great person worked their ass off when no one knew who they were. Like for real. And then over time, over you know doing great things consistently, then they got that then they've got their you know um
Feedback.
feedback, and but like they got people that respect them, like who did anybody know who Beethoven was before he did his first symphony? Like maybe his friends and family, but you know what I mean. Like he how many symphonies did that guy write? Like
50 or
and that's just ridiculous, right? So that's why we still talk about that guy, right? So like I'm not saying you gotta write symphonies like Beethoven, but you gotta do the work when no one's watching, or else we can't complain if we're not there yet.
Why can't we feel, fly, levitate, teleport, telekinesis, and shoot chi balls in the astral plane and lucid dreaming and feel a sensation in our body but can't do it when I wake up or in the 3D? Are we close?
Your DNA is not online.
Yeah, and the transduction, your light bodies, your other bodies are doing this, but it's not collapsed and is not clicked into your physical body. And this is about realization, right? Your physical human self has not realized that level of accretion and embodiment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard. I mean, I feel like it's also compassionate, that we're not all just all of a sudden flying around because we would fry the Earth's light body, basically.
Yep. Yippers. Yeah.
But in the advanced level of ESA, we are going to go into bioregenesis and the different practices that we can do to begin to activate those strands. And it's
Hey.
still going to take many years, though. Like, it's not just going to come
Yep.
online all of a sudden because
Yeah.
it's going to fry your DNA as well, your physical body.
TurboTax, that's the one. If you're not using TurboTax and you just got one income, I don't know what you're doing. Oh, use that thing.
Rhonda says, you don't do taxes too? Lol. Well, we are exploring certain things. I personally was guided to look into the establishment of churches and ministerial trusts, which, means because we are all people of God and people that are on a spiritual mission. And so actually we have legal ways and ways to protect our assets and not pay taxes on our mission. And so we're still in the beginning process of, but that's definitely going to be a part of our school because we want you guys to be generating, like once your guys' template is online, like what I'm experiencing right now is like, being trained in creation mechanics and running creation energy and being able to generate finances. Now we're all meant to create millions of dollars to build that healing center to support humanity. We're all meant to do that. And so as you guys begin to generate that, you're going to need support in creating these systems to protect your assets. And so we're thinking about that as well. What does this say? So then why isn't Jasara a good thing? It's not a good thing because it takes away people's agency.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you would think, again, that if people were given free money that they would be working on their
Mm-hmm.
ascension.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's just not what has happened. Like I
Yeah.
literally had a physical experience of me being Jasara for a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And I literally assumed that they were all going to do their work. And literally at the end, they were just mad at me for taking away their sovereignty because they didn't get to experience. And it's true, right?
It's a short-term thing because right now, like let's just take a snapshot of like right now, okay? Everybody in the world has the same number of skills that they have and everyone got Jasara, the wealth would just go to the rich people over a period of time. Like, because no one knows that, no one would know how to preserve that money and actually use that money to create more money. So then, like, if there just like was an airdrop of cash, that cash would just end up in the pockets of the rich people, over time anyway. And so, like, yeah, people would have like a there would be prosperity for a short period of time, but then we're stuck with greater wealth disparity after that, because no one people don't have the skills on how to create, right? And so that's why I said the idea of, like, if people, like, if we had a Jasara system with people that went through high school that taught them how to use their creative powers, that would be a really cool idea. I subscribe to that 100%. But again, you know programs that just airdrop people money and they don't teach them skills creates dependency, and dependency is the opposite of sovereignty, and sovereignty is what we are. So it's actually taking us away from what we are.
Okay. Doobie doobie doo, doobie doo doobie doo. What's your thoughts on God being an alien?
Yo, what's popping?
That's, that's a good one. Z, what are your feelings about new, young, tech savvy starseeds and transhumanism and the organic ascension timelines? That's very interesting. For me, I feel like there's a difference between technology and AI. There's a great video on my YouTube channel called the flu or the yeah the flu AI and metaphysical healing or something like that, where I break down my definition of AI, which is fallen consciousness. Okay, fallen consciousness and disconnection from source, and the agendas that come from that, which would be basically Satanism, which is pervasive in our society. That's actually the inorganic timeline that's crappy. And so, for the most part, how we use technology is very important. There's lots of civilizations that have, lots of technology, but the creation of the technology comes from love, comes from evolution, comes from providing freedom and creating, more experiences for divinity and form to experience. And so I think that as we progress and our human consciousness evolve, there is going to be benevolent technology that is created, like, different energy sources and things that are really fun that allows us to um, move around the planet quickly, including natural
Hmm.
portals. But there
Yeah,
is technology that is in organic resonance with nature.
totally. There's so much work to do there. Um, you know, I love history. So, if we look at what happened after, during the Industrial Revolution, with, like, a lot of that was due in part to, like, Newtonian physics coming online, and people could basically get way more technical with math equations than they could previously. Um, the economic and um like uh intelligence boom that happened, because people could start thinking about new ideas, because it opened, the ability to understand how to build things. And also what it did for it, like, economically, it was massive. In the Industrial Revolution, like, people, like, I guess, just don't really do a lot of research on this, but, like, America, like, popped off because they had the best railroads. They eventually had the best roads, the best airports, right? So we're gonna need a whole nother um era of that. Well, not just need, it's like we're going to have a whole nother era of that prosperity, because new equations are going to come online. New technologies are going to come online that just revolutionize everything. Crypto is an example of that, actually. Think about the industry of crypto is probably the fastest growing industry in the world, because it's just a technology that can be applied to everything. you know so yeah, like, we got so much to build, and just buckle up and hold your hold on to your noggin because we're about to blast off.
Kenneth, I think my mission is to liberate humanity from dependence on money, not having to rely on any material stuff, complete sovereignty. So there's a few confusion
Mhm.
points in this comment because the first thing is confusing the system of money with the flow of currency or the flow of energy. So the flow of energy is always going to be a thing, and in
Mhm.
itself is not sovereign at all because every relationship, how we relate to the earth, this is all relationships and flow of creation energy.
Yep.
And so there are systems of energy and of creation that are of the original template where imagine we have an earth where everybody is aligned to their highest soul's joy, and through that joy they're creating something that's benefiting everyone, and when everyone is doing that there is an overabundance, and this is how nature works, right? There's more than enough plants, there's
Mhm.
more than enough animals, there's more than enough nurturance
Yeah.
on this planet for all of its living beings. This is a natural template of life. It's overabundance. And so when everyone attunes to that vibration of excitement and creation, we have overabundance, and there's still going to
Mhm.
be some system of currency, and this is what money is meant to
Yeah.
be.
I will say that the dependency to money is definitely gonna go like down. Like what Z is talking about, like how there like money is an energy, and that there's just gonna be different forms of energy that create building blocks of our society. That's 100% legit. But for example, a great example is free energy. When we have free energy and we have basically unlimited electricity, and we don't need to we have no gas cars or anything like that, the costs of like everything are going to go way down, right? The cost of manufacturing, the cost of making food, the cost of transportation, all that's going to go way down. So we're going to actually, yeah, you're right, like be less dependent on like money, but then energy is just going to be basically baked into our life, and that energy is just going to create, building blocks in how we live.
Yes, absolutely. Because it's really supposed to be a force of organization, and organization is something that is inherent in geometry of life.
Hmm.
And things, for things to exist, like your cells are organized, they're not just disorganized splots of things that are random, right? Your body has an organization that's inherent, is a structure, is a lattice crystalline structure that allows for things to evolve and become and take form. And so that is a way that energy is flowing, and that will happen on a societal level, and that is a form of how currency flows as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. What do you recommend spending time in learning about crypto? I think that we'll have different answers for this one. I personally literally can't. It's very hard for me. Like I've tried, but like my brain will literally just start like doing this. And I don't force my system to do anything that doesn't feel inherently harmonic with itself. For me, I prefer to, operate in the organic realms where I'm exchanging through whatever currency is present. So if one day crypto becomes the widely adopted form of currency on our process to that society that we don't need to organize, resources in this way, then of course we're going to adopt it. But for me, I don't really feel like it's my role to just,
Hmm.
go and study it. But
Um, yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, it kind of depends because here's the thing about crypto is it's that it's in a stage right now where internet was in like when it was kind of starting up, because no one really knew what internet was all about. No one thought they needed a website, but eventually it's gonna become more and more adopted. And so, learning about what crypto is all about, 100% I think you should do.
mm,
Um uh Not necessarily like, oh, I need to be a crypto investor, but like what people don't understand is that like all these different coins, they actually like do something. So it's more like investing in a like buying a stock of a company that you believe is going to do something beneficial to the world. And so like you got to start, like if you want to start learning about crypto, like you got to understand that it's like there's just real companies that are doing things in the world. And but if you are running a company that or just doing stuff that doesn't necessarily involve crypto, I mean, you don't really need to, I guess, learn about it, but I think it would be a disservice to yourself to just kind of like put it in a box and say, "Oh, crypto's kind of like a fad," but it's not. It's a technology that's rapidly being adopted, has been creating phenomena in the across the world. I've seen people's lives be transformed by it, but like we can't like you know we just have to keep the perspective right, keep the main thing the main thing.
Hmm. Yep. Says, well, don't you think that when we gain full light body ascension and have no need for material things like food and such and can survive off source energy, then currency is out of the picture? So for me, I perceive things on a mass level through my root chakra. And so when I perceive the reality through my root chakra, I see things happen in real time. And so do I see humanity all reaching full light body ascension? I don't feel like that's actually what's happening on the planet right now. I don't think that during this age, I mean, we have experience in that, and maybe we are here to experience that, and maybe on other planets we are experiencing that en masse. But I think that we are here to build cities, and we're here to create physical existences that are brilliant and beautiful and a reflection, like temples, right? And in order, I'm super obsessed with the idea of building temples and spaces that are brilliant and beautiful. And in order to do that, to inspire humanity into their, potential, we need organization of resources, right? And so I think that's really where I'm perceiving in the next 100 years. We're saying like the next stage, what lights up my being is to create beauty that inspire humanity to
Mm-hmm.
live in a higher way.
Mm-hmm. Totally. I totally agree. Dogecoin, ladies and gentlemen, come on. I mean, it can you can make money off Dogecoin. Some people are like they just love Dogecoin, but I mean, that's something that is a little bit you're just gambling at that point.
Mhm. I want to say though that real world experience and
Mm-hmm.
training and mastery and
Yeah.
skills is super important,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of young starseeds that are now just trading crypto, and it's like having a job in the false matrix, basically, where you're just spending all your time. And again, this is another way that it can be tricky
Yeah.
because, you know,
But not always. Like here's the thing, right? Like if your value system is set up in a way where you because again, like I said, like the mindset of investing is lost. You put all your money in Doge. How you doing now? When did you do if you had it, I mean if you did it at the right moment, then I mean you are lit. Then that's what's up. But um yeah, but the thing is with the Shiba the thing with the Shiba thing is like you cannot predict that. Like people got the people that got rich off that got lucky. Like there's no I'm pretty sure there's no utility to Shiba or Doge. Like they don't actually do anything. So I mean if you put like 1% of your investment output in those things then do it. But like putting all of the resources you have to allocate into those things, it's just gambling at that point.
I mean, it's a really interesting thing, though. I think that, I'm in this light worker group where people are practicing their psychic abilities on guessing, which coins they can make money on. And I think that is really cool.
Hmm.
I love it. I personally have not, been participating very
Yeah.
much because I'm just obsessed and into, like, what lights me up is just transforming creation energy into matter.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can happen through crypto, and mostly it might be something that's more interesting. So,
Hmm. But what I was gonna say though is that some people like if you are out there and you are successful at trading crypto and you want to educate people on like investing and you want that to be part of like how you help people and be a bridge to like your your potential because you have other offerings to get out there, then I think that's cool. And
just don't let it intercede with your process of learning your
yeah.
actual soul skills.
Exactly. Because then at that point, like you're mentoring people and you're helping people succeed and you're doing a lot of mindset stuff and I think that that can be a I mean, a bridge, but we're sovereign beings, right? We're from God. If we're just if our whole life is crypto, I mean, I kind of it kind of it's like putting God in a box.
If not, you'll just get to $1, I'll be set. Yeah, exactly. And so here's the thing is that like when you learn creation mechanics, there's no gambling. It's math. It's physics.
Hmm.
You get abundance because that's what you are. With crypto, I mean that could come through crypto, right? That could come through whatever it is that you put your mind to. And so I obviously am very obsessed about these original templates because really that's what's going to liberate humanity is
Hmm.
when we start stepping into the embodiment of our original creation template. And then abundance is a byproduct of that. Being on our purpose is a byproduct of that. Having massive resources to transform this world is a byproduct of us embodying our mastery and our creator template. And so I like, this is like high level stuff that most people are not willing to believe in or fully do because it requires just a lot of mastery and training and being honest and perfecting our being. But there's nothing more interesting than that to me. And when you begin to embody these templates, no matter what currency is out there, you will have abundance because you're operating in a system of your own DNA and your own energy template that's always going to transduce abundance no matter what the external form of currency is. And I think that's something that you can bank on.
Hmm.
So you should take possession now of all assets because once you deposit your money in banks, it's not yours any longer. And so this is something that we're diving into of creating trust, right? Private trust is basically how the elites are protecting their money, and there are ways for us to begin to utilize their systems if we know, how to do this and what we're doing. And so recognizing ourselves as ministerial and as 508 churches that are above the IRS and above the financial system. These are things that are of the system that we can use. And right now, I'm all about this is like a process of re-entering the matrix in a way of grounding back in to play the game because I feel like I've floated in a lot of ways and I've learned a lot of things and now it's just time to apply the magic in a real way. And I know that many people are just wishfully thinking that a new world's going to create itself. But imagine if somebody came up to you and was like, okay, I'll give you $1 million right now to do what you need. Are you going to say no to that? You say, oh, I don't know what I would do with that. Never mind, I don't need it. Or you're going to be like, yeah, I have 5 billion things I know what to do with that money. And you're immediately going to go and start, changing the world with it. And so it's just like that. Having your template online is basically somebody saying, you have access to infinite resources and creation of whatever it is that you want to transform one energy to a different energy. And so I am indeed a guardian. And so feeling complete? Great questions. It was so fun to hang out with all of you. It was so fun to have you on today.
No, no one liked it. No one liked it.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'll take a hint, guys.
Yeah, you guys let me know if Shane is totally ruining my channel and just throw tomatoes at him.
Yeah,
And
but I like tomatoes. Mix in tomato sauce. Make a meat spaghetti. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Kaylin says you can't change the world without fully stepping out of the system. And that's exactly what I have been doing for the last, 8, 9 years by embodying the original template. Now, once you embody the real template, you have to imprint it right back into the 3D. And that's why, a lot of starseeds are having a hard time making actual impact in the world because we are not imprinting our template onto the 3D. And so this is the next this is the next step in our awakening to start to really transform the 3D into the right geometry in alignment with our highest self.
I knew it, Rhonda. That's what I thought too. You know what? Sometimes people just want to watch the world burn. Okay, one sec. There is one thing here. Okay, yeah, yeah. I had a great time though, for real. I really liked. I love serving. I really like giving people knowledge, energy, resources, like data. that they can help, we like that. Um, but yeah, so like I want to see people level up, and so coming on here and giving people uh some beautiful love and knowledge and perspective. I liked it a lot. So
Well.
oh snap! I thought you guys were gonna go watch a movie. Z was talking. I wanted to say bye, but Sarah and Ahata, miss you guys. So glad that you guys tuned in. Can't wait to hang out with you guys soon.
uh, Bird on Tree was very intent on letting you know that you don't ruin the channel in case you know.
Okay, guys, I just needed the feedback. Okay, I planted a seed, and I wanted to see what was going on.
Linda says, "Where can I find out more about Shane's work?" So
I'm off the grid. You can't find me.
yeah, so Shane came in as kind of a support in some more like business and technical sides of things that are really like blind spots in my work. And so we're working on some things together. I think in the new year we're gonna start a new series, and so I'll keep doing these live streams on Saturday, and then we're gonna start another series where we post videos on a weekly basis that's more focused on coaching and on business support and different kinds of things like
Hmm.
that. And so we're just preparing. Shane's preparing to come out of the cave.
Hey,
What?
I like it in there. Okay.
I know you do, but look, the people
No,
love you.
I know. And guys, I've been like the thing with Issa is that I've been wanting to start a coaching company for a long time, and so it's kind of like stars align. It's beautiful that I have the opportunity to serve in this capacity,
It
and
was
I.
literally the stars aligning because in March I was needing somebody with a business background to help me with a lot of these structural and system stuff for ESTA because I realized that the Galactics wanted us to expand and I just didn't have any of those
Hmm.
experiences. And so every time I thought about needing somebody like that, the Galactics would say the name Shane. And at the time, Shane was in my school. And so I'd be like, that's weird. And so then, a few days into that, he sent me an email and was like, hey, I really need a session. And at that point, I've been booked out for the rest of the year. And so I looked on my calendar and there was actually an opening in 2 days. And so I was like, okay, there's some alignment happening here. And so it was a 3.5 hour session. And in the end, I found out that he's had a lot of experience on different teams for startups and working in business and all of that.
Hmm.
And then we got started talking about working together.
Yeah. And yeah, so like I've been I've acquired some technical know-how, but I've over time realized that I have a unique perspective, and I've been trying putting information together to write a book because I wanna serve, and so yeah, like uh you're gonna see me on some modules in ESA. We might have
Who
like
is Issa? Issa is the Earth
Isa
Star Academy.
but ISSA is Jesus. Isa in what's it called? Uh Not Hebrew, but Arabic, sorry. Arabic is Jesus.
Which I had no idea. It's just an acronym of
Yeah.
Issa, so that's really fun.
Yeah. But so what was I gonna say? Yeah, so yeah, I feel like I really feel like I have a really cool perspective that I want to share with people. But when I was doing my research, I realized that the my blind spot was healing. My blind spot was like, how do I actually heal people? Because like, if I want to empower people, if I want for people to achieve their dreams, I can't not address healing. And that's actually how I found Z's work. And so I feel like my perspective is becoming a lot more well rounded, and I'm just making sure that I'm not putting a bad brand or a bad product out there, but I'm coming to you real soon. I'm about to broadcast on all frequencies, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in.
um,
Yeah, if you want to hit me up about sessions, I do quantum journeys. You can send me an email. um yeah, you can send me an email, and we can have a chat about that.
Marion says, after the gateway, I got some attacks. can you give me your advice? I would recommend using your aura clearing um uh sound fields that you got, because actually when you go through deep clearings, it could feel like you're going back into trauma loops or getting attacked. So they aren't necessarily attacks. There might just be further clearing that's actually happening, right? Because ultimately, there's attacks are just holes in the field anyway. And so, good thing that you can do is to go back through the ceremonies and also use your sound fields. And there's a bonus on the recordings page about using your commands, and so you can start practicing the commands as well. Okay, what school did you guys meet at?
Oh.
um, Shane joined the Galactic Shamanism mentorship this year. And it was kind of nutty actually, because then we started working on the business together, but then I would literally just get pulled out of my body and get all these crazy downloads from the G's about our work together. They said that I'm the oracle and he's the architect, and that we're kind of building this temple together, and that's kind of what Issa is, the first step
Mm-hmm.
of that temple coming into fruition.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really creepy how many overlaps there were in our projected timeline when we met.
Yeah. Oh, books coming to you soon there, Isis. I hope you're doing great, by the way. I hope you're doing amazing. I remember Isis and I had a great session. Same with May. I know May's doing great, but Isis, I hope you're doing incredible, and I hope you and the family are doing great as well. So, yeah.
Amelia says, "Can we overdose on Z? I've been doing the ceremonies and clearings every day. Is that okay? How do you feel? Because actually, you can get fried. You know, that's why I was saying with the sound fields that I sent out on the recordings page, I told people to not listen to it for more than 20 minutes at a time. And so many people were like, Z, I know you told me not to overdo it, but I totally overdid it. And now I feel like I have a fever and I'm purging and all this stuff. I'm like, don't tell, don't say I didn't tell you, because I totally told people not to overdo it. But it's all about how you feel. So if you're feeling a little feverish, or if you're feeling fatigued, take it easy, because you're running frequencies and you're running energy, and it takes time to build up our light body to accrete, more and more energies. Now I can do sessions for 4 or 5 hours, at a time. And when I first started, I would just get fried. I would literally have a fever. So, Shane, do you have Viking blood?
Um.
I think he does from the way he eats.
uh, I'm Scottish and Dutch. I mean, those Vikings, they did some bad things. Maybe somewhere in there, but I don't know specifically.
Oh, thank you so much, Alice, for saying that. Whew. All right. On that note, you'll be seeing more of this man's face next year. Good thing you're so good looking.
This is my creepy wink.
Yeah, and I think we will be releasing more information about, healing and relationships, and how relationships can be a force of healing,
Yep.
and how sometimes it can be hard, and how we can, allow love to guide us in different ways. But for now, this is kind of your introduction to Mystery Man. He exists.
Hi, I'm Shane. It's nice to meet you.
All right. We love you guys so much, and it's been awesome. I noticed your creepy wink. And I've got some amazing, incredible videos lined up for Starseed Mission Supports lined up for December. I've already made a schedule of all the ones we're going to do. It's going to be next level. I know that my mission is kind of amping up. I dreamt about training all night last night. I was so tired when I woke up, but I am so excited. And the sound recordings are on the yeah, you should have gotten a link on where the recordings are. So the recordings of the event and the sound journeys are on the same page, and there's a couple of bonuses on there as well. Okay, I love you people. Bye for now.